everybody, and welcome to the Adult Chair on rashpixel.fm. I'm Pete Wright, and I am thrilled to kick off 2016 with Michelle Chalfant.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year! Oh, my goodness. I am so excited about 2016. Are we going to have a great year?
I think we are. I heard that 2015 was such a transitional year from the people that I know that study astrology. They said 2015 was a really rough year, and I have to agree. So 2016 is a much easier year. Thank goodness.
It is. So far, it's easier. I'm feeling pretty good about things. And we're going to be talking about the changes in our lives that come on these big banner transitions. That's right. We're going to kick off a conversation about resolutions, and I am curious where that will take us. But before we start, head over to theadultchair.com to learn more about this show. You can subscribe for free by signing up for our mailing list, or find us in iTunes, Overcast, Downcast, Instacast, all your favorite podcast apps. You can find us there, and or just do a quick search for The Adult Chair. You can join the conversation on Facebook or Twitter and call us. Leave us a message with your thoughts at 931-463-3813, 931-463-3813, and you can get your questions on this very show. We would love to hear from you. Michelle, did you make any New Year's resolutions?
Nope. Okay. I don't like those.
Why don't you like them? And it's kind of a leading question. I want to hear what you think about resolutions.
Well, I'm going to start out with this. I don't think that resolutions work. In fact, I was reading something the other day, and it said that, is it a third of resolutions fail within 2 weeks? And in other words, we just stop doing them. And then 3/4 are done within 30 days. So I don't like resolutions. I don't think that they work.
Okay. I don't make huge resolutions, but I do think that there is something to talk about the power of the synergy that comes with the celebration of resolutions, right? Because don't you think there's something about the momentum that comes, like if you set the right tone for change, doing it around these big banner days might actually help some people to actually make change in their lives.
I think that there certainly is a lot to be said about, of course, changing our lives for the better. Absolutely. And, everybody talks about doing it on New Year's Day. It's a fresh start, fresh year, clean day. I get all of that. And I think there is something to be said. But what I like to do is, instead of setting that big giant life change on the 1st of January, when you are typically coming off of a break, of a vacation, we're coming off of all the holidays, nothing is settled in our lives. I like to take the first couple weeks, and I just started doing this a few years ago, but at the first couple weeks of the month of January, to get out of really the mind, or the adolescent chair, as we would say, and settle into my inner being and ask from that place, where are some areas in my life that I really would like to change, to make better, to live from a higher place, all of those kinds of things. And then I wait, it's like we can set the intention, we can make a resolution from the adult chair, or we can do it from this adolescent chair. So it's like, do we do it from the mind or the ego?
Well, and that's the big question, right? Because it sounds like what you're saying is that resolutions come from the adolescent chair.
I think that they do. I mean, because people say, oh my God, I want to lose 20 pounds and I'm going to start going to the gym, and, or I'm going to get a new job. And then they start working at their job and they're there by the end of January. And they're like, well, it's not so bad. It's like, it's just such a quick idea. And it comes from the mind, typically. Okay. I'm not saying that people don't stick to them, but very, very, very few people do. We have to make we have to make a shift when it comes to making life changes. And doesn't happen from the mind. It's got to come from deeper within. And that was when I used the word intention. There's a big difference between making a New Year's resolution and then making an intention for me and my year and my life. And that's what comes from the adult. Because when we think about what the adult is, when we're sitting in our adult chair, it's the highest version of ourselves. It's the higher self that's coming and dropping into human form. And then we get moved. The ideas for life change then come from within our being versus from the mind.
I just want to reflect one of my experiences, and I think all of my major successful transitions have come accidentally, by way of what you were describing. I mean, There's this sense that I feel like I've stumbled on it, but once I stumbled on it, it was like an awakening. That suddenly I was able to wake up one morning and realize that all of the everything I'd been going through, the whole journey has been leading toward an awakening that felt substantive, and I knew I was suddenly able to essentially fire clients for whom I was not doing the work of my heart, and to take on new projects and know that they would, or have a greater degree of confidence that these things would be successful, because suddenly it's not just what I do, it's who I am that I'm leveraging.
Yes. And where did that idea come from, though? These ideas don't come from a flash, like, all of a sudden, I'm just going to quit all these clients. It's like, it's something inside that moves us. And so few of us are not in touch with what's going on internally. Mm-hmm. And when we drop into the body and we just sit quietly and ask, like, what is in my highest good for me right now in my life? Like, how can I make a true change that is for myself and for the better of the world, and to bring more love in, or whatever it is that people that you're wanting? That's where these ideas come from. And those are ideas that then we can stick with and stay with throughout the whole year and probably the rest of our lives.
So when you talk about intentions and so this model of moving from resolutions to intentions, I told you, I stumbled on these awakenings kind of accidentally, like just sort of arriving to them because I feel like I'd accidentally put the pieces in place, but not really intentional. If I want to make the process kind of more intentional, can you walk us through how you do it?
Yeah.
Or how you coach people in this area?
Yeah, I think it's really important to write things down, first of all. First of all, like kind of like you had said, you have to get that internal idea. It comes from deep inside versus the mind. I'm going to give you an example of myself.
Okay.
This just happened a few days ago. I had made a comment to my husband about, oh my God, I can't remember what it was about. It was a very sarcastic comment, and I'm very sarcastic, and I love sarcasm. However, I realized I know what I said to him. I'd made some comment to something about him making a statement, and I compared him to this woman that's an alcoholic. I'm like, oh, well, you're just like so-and-so.
Nice.
Look at you. I know it wasn't nice, and he's like, ouch, why would you say that? I was like, well, I was just joking. Come on. I was being sarcastic. And then I went, and then like about 30 minutes later, of course I sit with things, and I sat with it, and I was like, what was I trying to really say to him? And I was like, sometimes I'm not comfortable with a lot of drinking, and not that he's a big drinker. I do not want to give you the impression he's alcoholic. I don't think he is. But I said to myself, really, instead of saying what I want to say to him, I use that sarcasm to sting him. And instead of just saying, you know what, sometimes I just would like you just to have one glass of wine instead of two. Period. It's that simple. Mm-hmm. But my then intention in that moment was, you know what, this is not who I want to be. So this was one area of my life that kind of popped up for me. I wasn't really aware of it, but when I sat with it, I was like, so one of the intentions that I'd like to make for this year is to become really mindful of my sarcasm. Like, sometimes it truly is just playful and it's fun, but there are other times, and we know this, people can use sarcasm because they're afraid to speak about what they really want to say, mm-hmm, right? Mm-hmm. And it stings, and it's intentional to sting, but it's with laughter on top. So for me, I said to myself, my intention is to be very mindful about my sarcasm. And before I play with somebody with my words and my sarcasm, I'm going to make a decision and be mindful of, is it passive aggressive? I'm trying to say something else, or is it truly just a playful thing that I'm going to do right now? And gosh, I could feel it from within. It was so moving. And that's when I said to myself, I intend to be mindful of my sarcasm. And when I said this for this year, for 2016, what that says to me is, every time I'm going to be sarcastic, I'm just going to be mindful. And then what will happen is it just becomes my new person, my new being. And we eventually don't have to think about it anymore.
This is central to the difference that I'm hearing from you between resolutions and intentions. That the resolution would have been, I'm going to be less sarcastic this year. I'm going to be less sarcastic than this year. And the intention is, I am a person who does not use sarcasm as a way to mask my own feelings about something important.
Do you see the difference? Yes, it's like deeper. It comes from a higher place.
Behavioral versus sort of existential, right? It's how I'm going to exist in a world in which I am not a person who is capable of doing that as a way to hurt others or to make my points.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to live as authentic beings and we want to live from love, which I do, that's really my mission. That's my goal. And I believe we will always and forever find parts of ourselves that are not living like that. I don't care if we're 95 and on the spiritual path. We're an onion. It's like things are going to always show up for us. This was one that showed up for me. And I thought, you know what? This isn't who I am.
Yeah.
This is not who I want to be. This is not living in my highest good. So I'm going to be mindful of this and I'm going to change this about me. And I'm going to it doesn't feel good. When I slowed myself down, which again, when we live such fast-paced lives, when I slowed down, I was like, I felt so bad. I went and I sat down with my husband and I apologized. And I said, I'm so sorry that I hurt your heart like that. That was not nice, but this is really what I wanted to say instead. And I told him and we talked about it and we resolved it. It was awesome. And the second part that came from that was, I really just want to own more of who I am, even if it's not so beautiful. And in that moment, it wasn't a beautiful thing, but owning it takes everything. It's like, there's nothing to hide. It's it wasn't perfect in that moment. So that was the other part that I came upon, which is I'm going to own really all of my parts. And I've been doing that since last year, but it just feels so good. So good to own the parts that we try to hide from other people. So we come across as being these perfect beings. No more. Yuck.
It seems to me something that would work as I, again, reflect on my own experience. It works on a career level too. So many resolutions evolve around careers, what I want, how I want to change my career this year, what I want to do or be. And I'm thinking back again to my transition to my photography business. And I had tried so hard for years to resolve to take more pictures. Right? To think photographers take a lot of pictures. So for many years, I was just like, I need to up my game by just taking a lot of pictures. But the transition that didn't really happen until I started saying, I am a photographer. And it doesn't matter how many pictures that I'm taking. It just matters that this is my existence. And so the resolution moves from the adolescent of I'm just going to focus on ego by somehow stack ranking myself against other photographers by volume to moving to intention in the adult chair of saying, I am a photographer. I do the good work of capturing moments and memories, and I'm going to do that good work this year. And I'm going to do it for people who are important to me. So to me, that's a spin on resolutions that transitions it to this broader intention model. And that's something that I never really put my fingers on until I heard you walk through this.
Yes. And I love that. And you also owned it. You see, you owned it and you sat in that and then you intended who you really are when it comes to that. It's beautiful. But I want to say this too. There are a lot of people that say, well, I really wanted to lose weight this year. And I think, bravo, that's great. But again, when we do it from this place of, I'm going to lose 20 pounds by spring break or by the summer, and I'm going to do, my friends doing Weight
somebody's
Watchers.
Wedding, somebody's got a wedding or a
and
reunion.
We're all going to do Weight Watchers, and we're all going to join boot camp and blah, blah, blah. I mean, everyone knows, don't go to the gym the month of January because all of the people that have just joined to lose their 20 pounds and all the people that made their New Year's resolutions are there. So the gym is painful to go to and you can't get on a treadmill. It's awful. In February, everyone's gone again.
Yeah. You get back to the regulars. It's like Cheers.
I want to say this. Yeah, exactly. But I want to say this when it comes to even losing weight. That's wonderful. If you're moved to lose weight or to get in shape, sit with it. Like what works for you, Pete, might not work for me. And I don't know what's better for me. I've got to sit with myself and get really clear. And again, the adolescent part will go, oh, I'm going to do that with you, Pete, because you're doing this diet. I'm going to do that too. Versus what's in my highest good? So I sat with this because I'd like to get in better shape right now. I just want to tone up a little bit more. So I sat with it. I said, what is in my highest good, just for me, just for Michelle? One thing that came really clearly from my inside was water. Like, I need to drink a lot more water. And I'm someone that drinks a lot of water, but I felt like I needed even more. Okay. So I am going to make sure that I drink X number of ounces of water every day. Like, I'm always just going to have water with me. Okay?
Because you're a person that drinks water. That's just who you're going to be.
Yeah. And I already drink a lot of water, but I just had this internal knowing that I needed more. Okay. And the second part that came to me, which is really interesting, I said, and I really want to tone up. I want to tone up my legs even more. Okay. What do I want to do? And I sat with it, and I have one neighbor that wants to go work out with me. I have another friend that wants to start doing this boot camp. I have another one wants to get I have people asking me to do things, and they all sound good. I'm like, but what really is in my highest good? It came to me actually this morning. I was like, oh, how fun. What came to me was, again, from the adult chair, because I was sitting in it. I was just wanting to know what's in my highest good. To take they have those bar classes, but they're like ballet bar dance classes. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh my God. Nobody mentioned that to me, but it came from within. I'm like, oh, I saw that. I saw that once, and I'm going to go and investigate that. So that is something then that we will be able to maintain, because it's coming from that inner place versus the resolution place that's all typically the mind or the ego that's like, oh yeah, I want to do that. I want to do that with you. And I want to and it's like, no, this moved me. When I got this idea, I was like, I grew up doing ballet. That would be so fun. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go find that class. And I intend to take this class and to get my legs in really tone and And I'm like, perfect.
Yeah.
So
right.
After we get these internal knowings, these internal hits, as I call them, it's so important to write them down and then post them in a place where you see them. So I type it out on a piece of paper, and I actually type it or tape it to my bathroom mirror. So I see it every single day, and I look at them every day. And then I have another one on my bedside. So I'm looking at them before I go to bed, and then I look at them first thing in the morning, and then I look at them in the mirror. And I'm telling you what, they manifest. They will manifest.
Well, this kicks off a sort of a longer conversation that we're going to be having around the role of intentions and the importance of intentions in our lives and living authentically in the adult chair. Is there anything you want to say to help set us up for some of the conversations to come?
Absolutely. So excited. Next podcast, we're going to have Tony Burrows on, and he is the author of The Code, which is all about intention. And he has an amazing story, and he's going to talk to us about intention and intention circles and how we really, truly create and manifest in our lives. So that's the next podcast. That is absolutely one not to be missed. And for the rest of the year, I'm just excited because we're going to be talking a lot more again about working and living our lives from this adult chair perspective and living more authentically, getting ourselves more unstuck, and really learning how to examine our lives in new ways from, again, this higher perspective or this inner perspective. And that's how we change our lives. You know, there's so many tools and methods out there in the world, Pete. When we have to apply them on the inside from this grounded place. And that's why I love this work of the adult chair. So that's what we're going to be doing a lot of talking about, whether it be relationships or children or weight loss or anything. It's like we got to learn how to do it from the adult chair, because that's where we're going to see lasting changes. And ultimately, this is the place where we learn how to love ourselves. So all this work, the basis of all of this work is to really learn how to love ourselves and live more authentically.
Perfect. That is a great way to set up 2016 for the adult chair.
It really is. I'm so excited about this whole year. I think it's going to be a great year.
Me too. So everybody, thank you so much for downloading and listening, and most importantly for sharing. This show is made possible by the people who listen to it and share it with others who think that they would find use out of it. So please share it with those you think are would like to hear these messages or would be able to make use of these messages. We appreciate your help in spreading the word. On behalf of Michelle Chalfant, I'm Pete Wright, and we'll catch you next time, right here in the Adult Chair.